Good evening, everyone. It's Meir Weinstein. I'm joined with Mayor Jolovitz tonight, and we're going to be discussing the meeting that just occurred with Benjamin Netanyahu and President Donald Trump. It was an exciting news conference. Let me just check to make sure everything is connected here right now. Just one moment, everyone, and then we're going to get on with the show. I see that it's already connected with, yes, it is, in fact. Okay, so we have a lot to discuss, and we're going to be having on a regular basis these podcasts. Um, Hopefully, every day we could do this updates, our analysis. Mayor Jolowitz is a Mideast expert on the subject matter. He's written extensively, spoken extensively, gives lectures. So, Mayor, let me ask you a question. We had a podcast last night. We were discussing what to expect from the meeting between Benjamin Netanyahu and Donald Trump. And the meeting took place. There were a couple of news conferences already today. And President Donald Trump is talking about, he's doubling down, he's tripling down, he's going to move the entire Hamas infrastructure, the Arabs from Gaza, out. We'll see where they end up going. He has plans for it. He also has plans that America is going to redevelop Gaza, make it into some kind of Riviera down the road. You know, while I was feeling euphoric about this whole thing, I'm just wondering, he's talking, he was questioned, are you going to visit Israel as well? And I was just thinking, maybe when he comes to visit Israel, he'll announce, we must build the third temple. Nothing is within, I don't know. But Mayor, go ahead. What's your analysis of what has happened?
Yeah, thank you, first of all. To play off your introduction, I have indeed been lecturing on Middle East affairs for many decades. This will be the first time in the many thousands of times that I've lectured or spoken or been interviewed that I'm actually rendered speechless. It has never happened before. Actually,
Right.
yeah, it's like my puppeteer is going to direct me for the rest of the show. For those people out there who might have missed, and it was only a few minutes before we went on air, that Donald Trump had the press conference with Bibi Netanyahu, open to all questions, which is a remarkable and wonderful feature of this president, especially when juxtaposed to the previous president, who, if you remember the last time that he met with an Israeli prime minister, and I'm not talking about his short visit to Israel, he met with Naftali Bennett in the White House. And while Naftali Bennett was giving some feeble explanation as to why Israel and the United States are symbiotic in their desires for peace in the Middle East, Joe Biden, I'll remind everybody, literally fell asleep. And Naftali Bennett kept talking, waiting for him to wake up. We are in a new Middle East. We don't yet know how to handle it. Yesterday, we did a short podcast, as is the new system that you want to go to.
Mm-hmm.
And we talked about the fact, I mentioned that I'm really concerned that Trump understands certain things. The fact that the Arab war launched, the Muslim war launched against Jews, the Arab war launched against Israel, is not territorial in nature, it's religious, and so on and so forth. I showed concern, which I still do have, by the way, because earlier today, Trump had mentioned Qatar as being friend, not foe, and we need to put that in proper perspective. But in this press conference that he held, even Bibi Netanyahu was in shock. He was in shock because he spoke about literally the United States taking over Gaza, the United States redeveloping Gaza, and the confusion in language, which was held by many earlier today. Does he mean temporarily or does he mean permanently? And when he talked about this exodus of Gazans, Palestinian Arabs, who, by the way, supported and still support Hamas, he was talking about this in a permanent way. I want to mention a comment for the 10 minutes after the press conference and before we took to the air. I channel surfed and I looked at some of the comments made in some of the networks in the United States and some of the people that they were interviewing. And what's absolutely remarkable was that they were talking about the fact that Trump has lost his mind, that he's delusional, that this just can't happen. He just
Mhm.
can't declare American providence over Gaza by fiat. And here's the more interesting thing. They all had one thing in common, and it's something which we will see in the coming hours and days coming from Israel as well, from the left. They talked about the fact that this is an absurdity, that he should decide that Gaza would be, and I'm going to use the term, ethnic cleansing. That's the term that they used. Ethnic cleansing. It would be free of Palestinians. And yet, none of these broadcasters, none of these pundits, none of these so-called Middle East experts, analysts, none of the left in Israel had anything to complain about when the Arabs told us quite clearly that their vision of a Palestinian state would be ethnic cleansing, that there would be
Mhm.
no Jews. So whereas the Western world had no problem with Jews being forced out of their biblical homes and their
Right.
modern day homes in Judea and Samaria, as they were in 2005 from Gaza, taken out, driven out, pulled out by the Israeli forces themselves. No one had a problem with that as ethnic cleansing. But all of a sudden, Donald Trump comes out and he basically puts his foot down and says, enough of this. I'm going to settle this myself. And mind you, he's only got 4 years to do this. And all of a sudden, the world is going crazy. I will say one last comment before I'll let you suggest. When I turn on the news and I hear the left going crazy, it's a happy day.
Oh,
It's a happy day.
yes. Mayor, for many years, there was such a campaign in Israel against Rabbi Meir Kahane. He spoke about the same plan. It was similar.
Right.
He had his book, They Must Go. He's written extensively of it on this subject matter. There are some politicians in Israel that talk about it somewhat. Moise Feiglin talks about it somewhat. There's others, but the one who's really known for it, that really spoke in a forceful way and had a plan, was Rabbi Meir Kahane. And they, politicians in Israel, passed laws to outlaw that kind of thinking in Israel. They didn't want the Kach party, just on principle.
Right.
So now, what is the mood in Israel? Because this is a seismic shift,
Yeah.
what Donald Trump is saying. What is going on in the psychology of, the left, the right in Israel maybe accepted the fact that it's never going to happen, so let's not talk about it. But the left in particular, the fanatic left, what is going through their minds right now when they hear the president of the United States saying, well, the number might be 1.7, 1.8 million that are going to be moved out?
There's one tremendous. You referenced Rabbi Kahane, and you mentioned his book "They Must Go," which spoke about a transfer of the Arabs because they were genocidal with their intent vis-a-vis the Jewish nation. What's remarkable is Rabbi Kahane wrote this in 1982, and the reason he wrote it in 1982, mind you, was in order to prevent October 7th from
Mm-hmm.
happening. The Trumpian philosophy now, and God bless him for taking this position right now, is actually a result of October 7th. Had October 7th not happened, it was a tremendous tragedy, a mini Holocaust of sorts. It's remarkable that Rabbi Kahane had done this in order to prevent October 7th. The reaction we see is in response to. And I realize this is a short podcast, so allow me just to mention just the juxtaposition of where we are just a few weeks into this new administration, less than a few weeks.
Just over 2 weeks.
2 weeks.
2 weeks and a day.
Yeah. We had a president before who, when he would speak about, when he was asked questions about the Middle East, didn't know how to answer. In fact, if he was asked a question, what planet are you on, he would not know. Trump is quite bold in his pronouncements. I mean, quite bold and to our advantage. But let me just mention a couple of things. Trump today threatened Iran. He threatened Iran, you will not acquire a bomb, a nuclear military capability. And, and by the way, it has to go beyond just words, because as he was giving his press conference, the Iranians are working on developing and advancing a nuclear military capability. Let's make no bones about it. Hopefully, what he did was, hopefully he set up the scene so if and when Israel says, there, we have to go, that Trump is going to agree. The United States administration prior to Trump's, for example, and we've seen a lot of controversy with the USAID, United States Agency for International Development. They gave hundreds of billions of dollars to countries which are hostile to the United States.
Right.
Remarkably, they gave since October 7th, the United States government, under the tutelage of Biden, of course, an agency which is run by Samantha Power, a recognized anti-Semite, who was one of the architects with John Kerry of United Nations Security Council Resolution 2334, which basically said that Israel was the occupier and its occupation was the reason that there was no peace in the Middle East. Well, they gave the Palestinians post-October 7th $2.1 billion. Nobody seemed to be concerned about that. That $2.1 billion and the billions of dollars that were given to the Palestinians by Qatar, and the tunnels which were dug in on the western side by the Egyptians, no one complained about them there. So this juxtaposition is remarkable. The fact that sanctions were placed against Iran today, the fact that the United States has already said that they were going to defund, they were no longer going to participate with the funding of UNRWA, an organization which is not only anti-Semitic, but which participated in the cover-up of Hamas, and so on and so forth. Bottom line is, if you were to draw a line down the middle, we've got the Biden forces on the one side and the Trump on the other side. And that other side that is the Trump side is decidedly pro-Israel. It's a new era. It's a new era. Yeah.
Meir, it's an incredible time. We're going to probably try to make this into a daily podcast because it's such exciting the times we're living in right now. We've gone through 4 years of hell with the Biden administration, and it got even worse during the Gaza war. And now there's a ray of light, and we have a strong president that's on our side. It's incredible. It's amazing. Meir, final words. Go ahead.
The final words are, as I mentioned just a few minutes before, when I turn on the news and I see the Israeli left upset about what's happening vis-a-vis the relationship being, it's a good thing. When I turn on CNN, on MSNBC, and I see them complaining about Trump, it's a good thing.
Yes.
That becomes the barometer by which we decide, are things heading in the right direction? And as we speak today, they're heading in the right direction with lights, with the speed of, light speed ahead. Tremendous.
Absolutely. Listen, everyone who's watching, if you could please share this on whatever social media platform you use, be it Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, Twitter. We'd really appreciate it. Get it out on your WhatsApp groups. Let's get this message out, and let's get the Never Again live show recognized all over the place. Thank you very much, Meir, for joining us, and we'll do it again. Thank you.
Thank you.